Night, a marble courtyard in Jerusalem, empty except for shadows cast by torchlight. Weathered hands grip a clay jar of myrrh, 75 pounds of it. The hands tremble. Nicodemus, 60 years old, grey beard streaked with white, Pharisee's robe stained with dust and something darker. His breath is shallow, controlled, like a man carrying a secret too heavy to speak. Behind him, barely visible in the dying light, the silhouette of 3 crosses on Golgotha cuts against the purple sky. What makes a man of power risk everything to honor a body the world has rejected? What secret conversation in the dark prepared him for this moment? And why does the gospel writer hide his story in plain sight, mentioned only 3 times, yet essential to everything? By the end of this story, you'll discover how one man's night of questions became the answer to his entire life, and how the body he prepared in secret became the proof of everything he'd hoped for. This is not the story of a hero. This is the story of a coward who became a witness, a teacher who became a student, a man who came in darkness and left in dawn. If you sense there's more to this story than you've been told, subscribe and turn on the bell. 3 years earlier, the Sanhedrin chamber, lamplight flickering on limestone walls. Nicodemus sits in his assigned seat, council robes perfect, hands folded on the polished table. He is a Pharisee, a ruler of the Jews, a teacher of Israel. His reputation is spotless. His knowledge of the law is unmatched. When he speaks, younger members listen. When he is silent, they wonder what wisdom he is holding back. Tonight, he is silent. The room debates a Galilean rabbi who is causing what the high priest calls disruption. Voices rise around the table. He breaks the Sabbath, one Pharisee says, his finger jabbing the air. He heals on the holy day as if God's command means nothing. Another leans forward. He forgives sins. He speaks as if he has authority that belongs to God alone. A third, younger, angrier, the people follow him like he's a prophet. They're calling him the son of David. If this continues, Rome will notice. And when Rome notices, we all suffer. Nicodemus listens. His face reveals nothing, but his fingers tighten on the armrest. He has heard the stories: a paralyzed man walking, a blind man seeing, water turned to wine at a wedding in Cana. He has dismissed most of it as exaggeration, the kind of folklore that grows around any charismatic teacher. But some of the witnesses are credible. Some of the healed have appeared in the temple courts, worshipping, weeping, testifying. The high priest, Caiaphas, calls for order. We will watch him, we will wait, but if he oversteps, we will act. His eyes sweep the room. Are we agreed? Hands rise in assent. Nicodemus's hand rises with them, not from conviction, from habit, from the weight of belonging. That night, he cannot sleep. He paces his rooftop under a sky thick with stars. Jerusalem stretches below him, quiet except for the occasional bark of a dog, the distant murmur of voices. He thinks of the Galilean. He thinks of the accusations. He thinks of the miracles, if they are miracles. And then he hears it, singing, laughter, coming from the lower city, near the temple steps. He descends the stairs, pulls a plain cloak over his robes, and walks toward the sound. The streets are narrow, shadowed. He moves carefully, staying to the edges. He is not afraid exactly, but he does not want to be seen. When he reaches the crowd, he stops. There are perhaps 50 people gathered in a wide courtyard lit by torches, and in the center, sitting on a low stone wall, is the Galilean Jesus of Nazareth, younger than Nicodemus expected, maybe 30 years old, carpenter's hands, a face that is unremarkable until he smiles, and then it is like the sun breaking through clouds. Around him, the broken gather. A leper, his skin still marked by scars but no longer rotting, weeps openly. A woman, one Nicodemus recognizes from the outer courts, always begging, always bent, stands upright, dancing. A child, blind from birth according to the whispers, stares wide-eyed at the torchlight as if seeing fire for the first time. Nicodemus watches from the shadows. He tells himself he is observing, gathering evidence, doing his duty as a member of the council. But something in his chest tightens. Jesus is speaking, but not the way the Pharisees speak. No elaborate arguments, no citations of precedent, just stories, simple, strange, piercing. He tells a story about a shepherd who leaves 99 sheep to find one that is lost. He tells a story about a father who runs to embrace a son who has squandered everything. He tells a story about a seed that dies in the ground and then rises as something new, something alive. The people listen as if every word is water in a desert, and then Jesus looks up, across the crowd, directly at Nicodemus. Their eyes meet. Nicodemus freezes. He is hidden in shadow. There is no way Jesus could have seen him. And yet the look is unmistakable, not accusing, not inviting, just knowing. As if Jesus sees not just his face, but everything beneath it. The questions, the fear, the hunger. Jesus smiles, not a broad smile, just a slight lifting at the corners of his mouth, and then he turns back to the crowd. Nicodemus walks home, slowly. His heart is pounding. He does not understand what just happened. He does not understand why his hands are shaking. When he reaches his door, a servant is waiting. The young man bows and hands him a small piece of parchment, folded and sealed with wax. "A boy brought this, my lord." He did not say who sent it. Nicodemus breaks the seal. The message is short, written in careful Aramaic script. "If you have questions, come at night. I will be waiting." No signature, no address. But Nicodemus knows. He knows who sent it. He knows where to go. He stares at the parchment. His hand shakes. Not from fear, from something else. Something he has not felt in years. Hope. The next day, the council reconvenes. The morning light is harsh through the high windows of the chamber, and the air smells of incense and old scrolls. The members gather, taking their seats in order of rank. Nicodemus sits near the center, his face composed, his hands resting lightly on the table. The discussion turns again to the Galilean. A younger Pharisee, a man named Simon with a sharp tongue and sharper ambitions, stands to speak. We have reports from Capernaum. This Jesus, he called a tax collector to follow him, a tax collector. Matthew, son of Alphaeus. The man eats with sinners and prostitutes as if they were equals at God's table. Murmurs ripple through the room. Disgust, disbelief, Simon continues, his voice rising. And yesterday, in the temple courts, he taught as if he had authority, not Rabbi Hillel says, or Rabbi Shammai teaches. No. He said, "I say to you," as if his word is the final word. Caiaphas listens, fingers steepled. "What does the law say about false prophets?" An older scribe responds immediately, "If a prophet speaks presumptuously in the name of the Lord, he shall die." Silence falls, heavy, expectant. Then Simon turns, his eyes landing on Nicodemus. "You were quiet yesterday, Nicodemus. You are never quiet. What do you think of this carpenter?" All eyes turn. The room holds its breath. Nicodemus feels the weight of their attention. He knows what they expect: agreement, condemnation, unity. But the parchment from last night is folded inside his robe, pressed against his chest like a burning coal. He chooses his words carefully. Should we not hear him ourselves before we judge? The silence deepens. Then someone laughs. A short, bitter sound. Another joins. Soon half the room is chuckling, shaking their heads. Simon leans forward, his smile cold. "Hear him, Nicodemus. You sound like a disciple already. Perhaps you should go join the tax collectors and sinners at his table." More laughter. Caiaphas raises a hand, and the room quiets. But his eyes remain on Nicodemus, measuring. "We will observe him further." the high priest says. But let us be clear, if he continues to undermine the law, we will have no choice but to act. Are we agreed? Hands rise again. Nicodemus's hand rises, but slower this time, and the hesitation does not go unnoticed. When the session ends, Nicodemus walks through the temple courts alone. His mind churns. He has just done something dangerous, not by what he said, but by how he said it. He has planted a seed of doubt, not in them, but about himself. And in the council, doubt is a kind of treason. He spends the rest of the day teaching in the outer courts, answering questions from students, interpreting passages from the prophets. His voice is steady, his answers are precise, but his thoughts are elsewhere. That night, he waits until the house is quiet. His wife has gone to bed. The servants have retired. The city outside is still. He pulls the plain cloak over his robes again and slips out through the side door. The streets are empty, shadowed by moonlight. He walks quickly, keeping his head down until he reaches the address he knows, a house on the northern edge of the city, near the old wall. A lamp burns in the upper room. He climbs the outer stairs. The door is open. Jesus is there, alone, sitting by a small oil lamp. No guards, no crowd, no disciples, just the two of them. Nicodemus hesitates in the doorway. For a moment, he considers turning back. This is madness. If anyone saw him, if anyone knew, his career, his reputation, everything he has built would be destroyed. But Jesus looks up and smiles. "Come in, Nicodemus. You are welcome here." Nicodemus steps inside. He closes the door behind him, and for the first time in years, he feels like he can breathe. He begins formally, the way he would address any rabbi. "Rabbi, we know that you are a teacher come from God. For no one could do the signs that you do unless God is with him." It is a careful opening, respectful, non-committal, an acknowledgement without an endorsement. But Jesus does not accept the courtesy. He cuts straight to the center. "Truly, truly, I say to you, unless one is born again, he cannot see the kingdom of God." Nicodemus blinks. Born again. The phrase makes no sense. He has come prepared for a theological discussion, for debate, for clarification. But this is something else entirely. He tries to process it logically. How can a man be born when he is old? Can he enter his mother's womb a second time and be born? Jesus does not laugh at the question, though it sounds absurd even to Nicodemus's own ears. Instead, his face is full of compassion. He leans forward, his voice soft but piercing. "Truly, truly, I say to you, unless one is born of water and the Spirit, he cannot enter the kingdom of God. That which is born of the flesh is flesh, and that which is born of the Spirit is spirit. Do not marvel that I said to you, you must be born again." Nicodemus stares. He has studied the Torah his entire life. He has memorized the prophets. He has debated the greatest teachers in Jerusalem. And yet this simple carpenter is speaking in riddles that unravel everything he thought he knew. Jesus continues, and now his voice carries a strange tenderness. "And the wind blows where it wishes, and you hear its sound, but you do not know where it comes from or where it goes. So it is with everyone who is born of the Spirit." Nicodemus feels something shift inside him. The wind. Yes, he has felt it. In the temple courts, when the scrolls of Isaiah speak of the suffering servant. In the Psalms, when David cries out for a clean heart. In the prophets, when they speak of a new covenant written not on stone but on flesh. He has felt the wind, but he has never known where it was leading. He whispers, almost to himself, "How can these things be?" And now Jesus' expression changes. There is still compassion, but also something else, a kind of holy sorrow. "You are the teacher of Israel, and yet you do not understand these things. Truly, truly, I say to you, we speak of what we know and bear witness to what we have seen, but you do not receive our testimony." If I have told you earthly things and you do not believe, how can you believe if I tell you heavenly things? The words sting, but they are true. Nicodemus has spent his life guarding orthodoxy, protecting the law, defending the boundaries. And in doing so, he has missed the very thing the law was pointing toward. Jesus leans closer. The lamplight flickers between them. No one has ascended into heaven except he who descended from heaven, the Son of Man. And as Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness, so must the Son of Man be lifted up, that whoever believes in him may have eternal life. Lifted up. The phrase hangs in the air. Nicodemus thinks of Moses in the wilderness, the bronze serpent on the pole, the people dying from venom, and the strange command, "Look and live." But what does it mean here? What does it mean for the Son of Man to be lifted up? Jesus does not explain. He simply waits, watching Nicodemus with those knowing eyes. Finally, Nicodemus stands. He does not know what to say. He does not know what to believe. He only knows that something has shifted, something irreversible, something terrifying and beautiful at once. He moves toward the door, then pauses. "Rabbi, will you be here again, if I have more questions?" Jesus smiles. "I am always here, Nicodemus, even when you cannot see me." Nicodemus leaves. The night air is cool on his face. The streets are still empty, but inside, something is alive. The wind is blowing, and he does not know where it will take him, only that he cannot stop it now. Weeks pass. Nicodemus returns to his routine, teaching, debating, attending council meetings. But something has changed. He finds himself distracted during discussions, his mind drifting to that night on the rooftop. The words echo in his thoughts, "Born again. The wind blows where it wishes. The Son of Man must be lifted up." He begins to watch Jesus from a distance, not openly, never openly, but he makes excuses to be in places where the Galilean is known to teach. He lingers at the edges of crowds. He listens to reports from the temple guards. He reads the accounts that filter back through the city. More healings, more teachings, more confrontations with the religious authorities. And the more he hears, the more the tension in the council grows. One afternoon, a delegation returns from Galilee with news that sends the chamber into an uproar. Jesus has fed 5,000 people with 5 loaves and 2 fish. The people wanted to make him king by force, but he disappeared into the hills. The next day, he appeared in Capernaum and began teaching in the synagogue. Strange, difficult words about eating his flesh and drinking his blood. "Blasphemy," someone shouts. "He speaks like a madman." But another voice counters, "The people still follow him, thousands. They believe he is the prophet. Some even say he is the Messiah." Caiaphas stands, his face grim. "Then we must be clear. This man is dangerous, not because of what he does, but because of what he claims. He is leading the people astray, and if we do not stop him, Rome will..." The room murmurs agreement. Plans begin to form. Quietly, carefully, they will watch him, wait for him to overstep, and when he does, they will have grounds to act. Nicodemus listens, his jaw tight. He wants to speak. He wants to say that perhaps they are missing something, that perhaps this man is not what they think. But the memory of Simon's mocking laughter still burns in his chest, and so he stays silent until the day they discuss arresting Jesus. It happens without warning. A Pharisee named Malchus brings a proposal to the council. We send officers to take him, quietly, at night, when the crowds are not around. We question him here in the chamber and determine if his teachings violate the law. Heads nod, hands begin to rise in agreement. And then Nicodemus speaks. "Does our Lord judge a man without first giving him a hearing and learning what he does?" The words are out before he can stop them. The room goes silent. Every face turns toward him. Caiaphas's eyes narrow. "What are you saying, Nicodemus?" Nicodemus feels his pulse quicken, but he keeps his voice steady. "I am saying that we are teachers of the law, and the law requires testimony. It requires evidence. We cannot condemn a man based on rumor and fear." Simon stands, his face flushed. "Fear? We are protecting the nation. Or have you forgotten what happens when Rome decides we cannot govern ourselves?" "I have forgotten nothing," Nicodemus replies, his voice sharper now. "But neither have I forgotten that justice is the foundation of our law. If this man is guilty, let him be proven guilty, but let it be done rightly." For a moment, no one speaks. Then Caiaphas leans back in his chair, his fingers steepled, his expression unreadable. "Are you from Galilee too, Nicodemus?" The question is soft, almost gentle, but it lands like a blow. Laughter ripples through the room. Not loud, not mocking, but enough to remind Nicodemus where the lines are drawn, enough to remind him what it costs to step over them. He says nothing more. The vote proceeds without him. The officers are dispatched, and Nicodemus sits in his seat, his hands folded, his face a mask. But inside, he is trembling. That evening, he sits alone in his study. The room is lined with scrolls, Torah, prophets, writings, a lifetime of study, a lifetime of certainty. And now, all of it feels fragile. His wife enters quietly, carrying a lamp. She sets it on the table and sits across from him. For a long moment, she says nothing. Then gently, "They are asking questions about you." Nicodemus looks up. "Who?" "The council, the younger members. They want to know where your loyalty lies." He exhales slowly. "And what do you think?" She meets his eyes. "I think you have never been a man who chooses the easy path, but I also think you are afraid, and I do not know if your fear is of them or of him." The words cut deeper than any accusation from the council, because she is right. He is afraid of losing his position, afraid of being cast out, but more than that, afraid of what it would mean if Jesus is who he claims to be. Because if Jesus is right, then everything Nicodemus has built his life on is incomplete. Not wrong, but not enough. He opens one of the scrolls on his desk. Isaiah. His finger traces a passage he has read 100 times but never truly seen. He was despised and rejected by men, a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief, and as one from whom men hide their faces, he was despised, and we esteemed him not. He pauses, reads it again. We esteemed him not. His hands rest on the parchment, hands that have held the law, taught the law, defended the law. But have they ever truly touched mercy? He thinks of the leper, weeping and whole, the woman dancing and free, the blind child seeing light for the first time. He thinks of Jesus, sitting in the lamplight, speaking words that unraveled him. And he thinks of the council, sharpening their knives in the shadows. A knock at the door. A servant enters, his face pale. "My lord, the officers have returned." And they did not arrest him. Nicodemus stands. "Why not?" The servant hesitates. They said no one ever spoke the way this man speaks." Nicodemus closes his eyes. Even the officers sent to arrest him have been captured by his words. He dismisses the servant and turns back to the scroll. The words of Isaiah stare back at him. "Surely he has borne our griefs and carried our sorrows, yet we esteemed him stricken, smitten by God, and afflicted." Nicodemus's hand trembles as he rolls the scroll closed. He does not know what will happen next. He does not know if he will have the courage to stand when the moment comes. But he knows this. The line has been drawn, and he has just stepped closer to the edge. The cost is beginning to appear. Whispers in the corridors, glances that linger too long, questions that carry weight. He is no longer trusted, and trust in the council is everything. He sits in the lamplight alone and wonders what it will cost him to follow the wind. The council meets in emergency session. It is early morning, the kind of cold, grey dawn that makes the limestone walls of the chamber feel like a tomb. Nicodemus arrives to find the room already full, the air thick with tension. Something has happened, something that has shaken even the high priest. Caiaphas stands at the head of the table, his face pale, but his voice controlled. Lazarus of Bethany is alive. Silence. Then murmurs, then chaos. Alive. He was dead for 4 days. I saw the tomb myself. The body was wrapped, the stone was sealed. And now he walks, talks, eats, as if death never touched him. Nicodemus listens, his heart pounding. He has heard the rumors, but he did not believe them. No one could believe them. Raising the dead is the work of prophets, Elijah, Elisha, men who walked with God in ages past. But this, a man dead 4 days, his body already decaying, called out of the grave by a single word. One of the Pharisees slams his hand on the table. The people are calling it the greatest sign. They say he is the Messiah, the Son of God. They say if he can raise the dead, then surely he is from God. Another voice, trembling with fear. And if the people believe that, they will follow him. And if they follow him, they will proclaim him king. And if they proclaim him king, Rome will come with legions and crush us all. Simon, the young Pharisee who mocked Nicodemus weeks ago, stands. His voice is sharp, urgent. We have reports from Bethany. Hundreds went to see Lazarus. They are not just curious, they are convinced. Some are saying that if Jesus can conquer death, then he can conquer Rome. The zealots are watching. They want a military Messiah, and this man is giving them exactly the kind of sign they need to rally behind. An older scribe adds, his voice grave. And it is not just the common people. I have heard that some of the priests are beginning to question. They are asking why we oppose a man who does the works of God. The room erupts again. Accusations fly. Fear and anger blend into a single storm. Caiaphas raises his hand. The room falls silent. When he speaks, his voice is cold, precise, political. If we let him go on like this, everyone will believe in him, and the Romans will come and take away both our place and our nation. He pauses. His eyes sweep the room, landing on each face in turn. The silence is suffocating, and then he says the words that will seal everything. You know nothing at all, nor do you understand that it is better for you that one man should die for the people than that the whole nation should perish. The words hang in the air like a verdict already passed. Nicodemus feels them land in his chest like stones. One man should die, not might die, not could die, should die. This is no longer a debate. It is a sentencing. Caiaphas continues, his voice steady, almost gentle. We are not murderers. We are shepherds. And sometimes, to protect the flock, the shepherd must make a hard choice. This man threatens everything we have built, everything our fathers built, everything God has entrusted to us. If we do nothing, we lose everything. But if we act decisively, carefully, we save the nation. Heads begin to nod. The logic is seductive. The fear is real. Rome is always watching. One wrong move, one uprising, and the legions will come. The temple will burn. The people will be scattered. Everything will be lost. Nicodemus sits frozen. He wants to speak. He wants to say that perhaps there is another way, that perhaps this man is not the threat they think he is, that perhaps, just perhaps, they are about to make a terrible mistake. But the memory of Simon's laughter echoes in his mind. The memory of Caiaphas's question, "Are you from Galilee too?" The weight of their stares, the cost of standing alone. The vote is called. All in favor of moving forward with the arrest and trial of Jesus of Nazareth, raise your hand. Hands rise around the table, one by one, slow at first, then faster. A sea of agreement. Nicodemus stares at his own hand. It rests on the table, unmoving. He feels every eye on him, waiting. The room is silent except for the sound of his own heartbeat pounding in his ears. He thinks of Jesus in the lamplight, speaking of being lifted up. He thinks of Isaiah's words, "We esteemed him not." He thinks of the wind and where it is blowing, but he also thinks of his wife's warning, of the whispers in the corridors, of the cost of standing alone, of the possibility that maybe, just maybe, the council is right. Maybe this man, for all his miracles, is leading the people toward destruction. Maybe one man dying is better than the nation perishing. His hand lifts, slowly, barely, but it lifts. He does not vote to kill, but he does not stop it either. And in that moment, something inside him dies. The session ends. The members file out, their faces grim but resolved. Plans are made in hushed voices. How to arrest him, when to move, how to avoid a riot. They will need someone on the inside, someone close to Jesus. They will need to act at night when the crowds are not around. Nicodemus walks out into the courtyard, his legs unsteady. The morning sun is bright, almost cruel. The city is waking, merchants setting up stalls, pilgrims arriving for Passover, children running through the streets. Everything looks normal, everything looks the same, but nothing is the same. He has just betrayed everything he learned on that rooftop, not with words, with silence. He walks home slowly, taking the long route, avoiding the crowded streets. When he arrives, his wife is waiting in the courtyard. She takes one look at his face and knows they decided, she says quietly. He nods. And you? He cannot meet her eyes. I did not stop them. She is silent for a long time. Then she places a hand on his arm. You are afraid. Yes, of them, or of him. He looks at her, and for the first time, he speaks the truth out loud. Of both. I'm afraid that if I stand with him, I will lose everything. And I am afraid that if I do not stand with him, I will lose myself. She holds his gaze. Then you must choose which loss you can live with. That night, he tries to write. He sits at his desk, a blank parchment before him, a lamp flickering beside him. He does not know who the letter is for. Jesus, the council, God himself. He dips the quill in ink and begins. Forgive me, I do not know how to... His hand stops. The words will not come. What can he say? That he is a coward, that he chose safety over truth, that he let fear silence him when courage was required. He stares at the half-written line. The ink begins to dry on the tip of the quill. Outside, the city is quiet. Inside, his soul is screaming. He tries again. I have spent my life teaching others the way of righteousness, and yet when righteousness stood before me, I turned away. I have... Again, the words fail, because what is there to say? How do you confess that you have betrayed not just a man, but everything you claim to believe? He sets the quill down. His hand is shaking. A single drop of ink falls from the tip and spreads across the parchment like a stain. He stares at it. The black dot grows, soaking into the fibers, spreading outward. It looks like blood. He crumples the parchment and throws it into the brazier. The flame consumes it in seconds, curling the edges black, turning his confession to ash. He watches it burn, the words disappearing into smoke. He sits in the darkness, his head in his hands, and for the first time in his life, Nicodemus, teacher of Israel, ruler of the Jews, man of knowledge and authority, does not know what to do. Hours pass. He does not move. The lamp burns low. The house is silent. And then the servant comes. The young man appears in the doorway, his face ashen. He does not speak at first, just stands there, trembling. "What is it?" Nicodemus asks, though part of him already knows. "They have arrested him, my Lord." The words land like a blow. Nicodemus's breath catches. When? Tonight. Just now. In Gethsemane, across the Kidron Valley, Judas, one of his own disciples, led the temple guards to him. They say he did not resist. They say he went willingly. Nicodemus grips the edge of the table to steady himself. Where is he now? They have taken him to the high priest's house for questioning. The council is being summoned. Nicodemus stands. His mind races. He should go. He should be there. He is a member of the council. He has the right to witness the proceedings. Perhaps he can still do something. Perhaps he can still speak. Perhaps, but his legs will not move. Because he knows what kind of questioning this will be. He knows what verdict they have already decided. He knows that his voice, even if he found the courage to use it, would change nothing. The servant lingers, waiting for instructions. "My Lord, they are saying he will be tried before dawn, before the people can gather, before Passover begins. They want it done quickly." Nicodemus nods, but he cannot speak. The servant bows and leaves, closing the door softly behind him. Alone again, Nicodemus sinks into his chair. He thinks of Jesus, bound and dragged through the streets. He thinks of the lamplight on the rooftop, the wind, the promise of being lifted up. The Son of Man must be lifted up. He thought it meant exaltation, honor, glory, a throne. But now, in the cold light of understanding, he realizes what it truly means. Not a throne, a cross. He closes his eyes, and a single tear falls onto the desk. It lands on a half-burned edge of parchment that escaped the fire, smudging the ash. He whispers into the darkness, "I am sorry, I am so sorry." But no one answers. Only the wind outside, stirring the curtains, moving where it will. The night deepens. Somewhere in the city, the trial begins. Somewhere, false witnesses are brought forward, their testimonies contradicting each other. Somewhere, the high priest tears his robes and shouts, "Blasphemy!" Somewhere, the man who spoke of wind and rebirth and eternal life stands accused, silent, alone. And Nicodemus sits in his study, paralyzed. He does not go to the trial. He does not speak in Jesus' defense. He does not stand. He simply sits in the darkness, a teacher of Israel who has forgotten how to move. By morning, the news spreads like fire through the city. Jesus of Nazareth has been condemned, not by Rome, not yet, by the council, by the Sanhedrin, by the very men who claim to guard the law and speak for God. And Nicodemus, who cast his vote in silence, knows that his hands are stained, not with ink, with blood. Morning breaks over Jerusalem, but there is no light in it. The sky is pale, colorless, as if the sun itself is reluctant to rise. Nicodemus has not slept. He sits in his study, still dressed in yesterday's robes, staring at nothing. The city outside is waking, but it is not a normal morning. There is a strange energy in the air, part anticipation, part dread. Passover is coming. Pilgrims flood the streets. But underneath the festival preparations, something darker moves. A servant enters quietly. "My Lord, they are taking him to Pilate." Nicodemus looks up. Why Pilate? The council has no authority to execute. They need Rome's approval, of course. The final piece of the plan. They will make it Rome's decision, Rome's guilt. But everyone will know the truth. Everyone will know who truly condemned him. Nicodemus stands slowly. His body aches as if he has been beaten. "I will go." His wife appears in the doorway. "Nicodemus, do not. There is nothing you can do now. It is finished." He looks at her and his voice is hollow. "Perhaps, but I must see it through. I must witness what I have done." He pulls his cloak around his shoulders and walks out into the streets. The city is already gathering. Word has spread. Jesus of Nazareth, the prophet from Galilee, the man who raised Lazarus, is on trial. Some come out of curiosity, some out of loyalty, some out of hatred. The streets near the Praetorium are thick with bodies, voices, tension. Nicodemus moves through the crowd, keeping to the edges. He does not want to be seen. He does not want to be recognized. He is a ghost, a shadow, a man watching his own betrayal unfold. He reaches the outer courtyard of Pilate's headquarters just as they bring Jesus out. The Roman governor stands on the elevated platform, looking bored and irritated. He doesn't want to be here. He does not care about Jewish religious disputes, but the crowd is loud and the priests are insistent, and it is easier to go through the motions than to fight. Nicodemus sees Jesus for the first time since that night on the rooftop. He is barely recognizable. His face is swollen, bruised. Blood has dried in his beard. His hands are bound. His robe is torn. But his eyes are still clear, still calm, as if he is not the one on trial. Pilate speaks, his voice carrying over the crowd. You brought me this man as one who was misleading the people, and after examining him before you, behold, I did not find this man guilty of any of your charges against him. Neither did Herod, for he sent him back to us. Look, nothing deserving death has been done by him. A murmur runs through the crowd. Hope flickers in a few faces. Perhaps he will be released, perhaps, but then the priests step forward. Caiaphas, flanked by the chief members of the council, speaks loudly, clearly. If you release this man, you are not Caesar's friend. Everyone who makes himself a king opposes Caesar. The threat is unmistakable, and Pilate hears it. His face hardens. He looks at Jesus, then at the crowd, then back at the priests. Politics. It is always politics. He tries once more. Shall I release to you the King of the Jews? And the crowd, stirred by the priests, manipulated by fear and confusion, begins to shout. And not this man, but Barabbas. Nicodemus feels his stomach turn. Barabbas, a murderer, a rebel, a man guilty of everything they are falsely accusing Jesus of. And the people want him freed instead. Pilate raises his hands. Then what shall I do with Jesus who is called Christ? The shout comes like a wave, crashing over the courtyard, drowning out reason, drowning out mercy. Crucify him! Crucify him! Nicodemus closes his eyes. The words pound in his skull. Crucify him! Crucify him! The voices blend together, priests, pilgrims, strangers, people who do not even know why they are shouting, only that everyone else is. Pilate tries one more time. Why? What evil has he done? But the crowd only shouts louder. Crucify him! Crucify him! And then Pilate does something that will echo through history. He calls for a basin of water. He washes his hands in front of the crowd, his face twisted in contempt. I'm innocent of this man's blood. See to it yourselves. The priests accept the responsibility without hesitation. His blood be on us and on our children. The words hang in the air, and Nicodemus feels them like a curse. Pilate gives the order. Jesus is taken away to be flogged. The crowd begins to disperse, satisfied, eager to return to their Passover preparations. But Nicodemus cannot move. He stands rooted to the spot, staring at the place where Jesus stood. He thinks of the vote yesterday, his hand rising slowly, joining the others. He thinks of the letter he tried to write, the words he could not say. He thinks of the wind and where it was supposed to lead him. And he realizes, with crushing clarity, that he has missed it. He has missed the moment to speak, the moment to stand, the moment to be counted among those who chose truth over safety. He turns and walks away, moving blindly through the streets. He does not know where he is going. He only knows he cannot stay. Hours pass. He finds himself on the outskirts of the city, near the northern gate, staring out at the hills. The sun is high now, but there is no warmth in it. And then he hears the sound, hammering, rhythmic, deliberate, terrible. He turns and sees the procession moving toward Golgotha, the place of the skull. 3 men carrying crossbeams, Roman soldiers. A crowd following, some weeping, some mocking. And in the center, barely able to walk, is Jesus. Nicodemus's feet move before his mind can stop them. He follows at a distance, joining the edge of the crowd. He does not know why. He only knows he must see. They reach the hill. The soldiers work efficiently, without emotion. They lay the beams on the ground. They stretch out the condemned men's arms. And then, the first strike of the hammer. Nicodemus flinches. The sound is sharper than he expected, more final, the second strike. He closes his eyes, but he cannot shut out the sound. The third strike. The Son of Man must be lifted up. The words come back to him now, and he understands. This is what Jesus meant. Not exaltation, not glory. This brutal, agonizing, public execution. This is the lifting up. They raise the cross. Jesus hangs between heaven and earth, suspended in agony. A sign is nailed above his head. Jesus of Nazareth, the King of the Jews, written in Hebrew, Latin, and Greek. A joke, a mockery, and yet, somehow, terribly true. The crowd jeers. He saved others. Let him save himself, if he is the Christ of God, his chosen one. The soldiers cast lots for his garments, laughing, drinking, indifferent to the suffering above them, but a few remain. A small group of women stand near the cross, weeping. Mary, his mother, her face a portrait of anguish. Mary Magdalene, a younger man, John, one of the disciples, his arm around Mary, trying to hold her up. And Nicodemus, standing alone in the shadows, watching. Jesus speaks. His voice is hoarse, weak, but somehow it carries, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." The words pierce Nicodemus like a sword. Forgive them, not curse them, not condemn them. Forgive them. Does that include him? Can it include him? The hours drag on. The sun climbs higher, and the heat becomes oppressive. Nicodemus does not leave. He cannot leave. He stands there, a silent witness to the consequence of his silence. At the 6th hour, something changes. The sky begins to darken, not the natural darkening of evening, but something else, something wrong. The light fades, as if a curtain is being drawn across the sun. Within minutes, it is as dark as night. The crowd stirs, uneasy. Some begin to leave, frightened. The soldiers glance at the sky, their faces tense. Nicodemus looks up. The darkness is complete, and in that darkness, he feels something break, not in the sky, in himself. He sinks to his knees right there on the hill and weeps. He weeps for his cowardice. He weeps for his silence. He weeps for the man on the cross who spoke of wind and life and now hangs dying. And in the darkness, he prays, not the formal prayers of the synagogue, not the rehearsed words of the Pharisees, just the raw, broken cry of a man who has lost everything. God, forgive me. I did not know. I did not understand. I was afraid. Forgive me. The darkness continues. 3 hours, 3 hours of blackness, as if creation itself is in mourning. And then, at the 9th hour, Jesus cries out. His voice is loud, piercing the darkness. My God, why have you forsaken me? The words echo across the hill, the cry of abandonment, the cry of every human soul that has ever felt alone. Nicodemus hears it, and something in his chest cracks open. A few moments later, Jesus speaks again, quieter now, almost a whisper. It is finished. And then, louder, with a strength that should not be possible, Father, into your hands I commit my spirit. His head drops. His body sags. It is over. At that exact moment, the earth shakes. The ground beneath Nicodemus's knees trembles. Rocks split. The darkness begins to lift, but slowly, as if the light itself is reluctant to return. A Roman centurion, standing near the cross, stares up at Jesus' body. His face is pale. His voice is shaking. Truly, this man was the Son of God. The words hang in the air. The Son of God, not a blasphemer, not a deceiver, the Son of God, and they have killed him. Nicodemus remains on his knees, staring at the cross. The crowd is dispersing now, hurrying away, eager to return to their homes before the Sabbath begins. The soldiers prepare to break the legs of the crucified men to hasten their deaths. But when they come to Jesus, they see he is already dead. One soldier, to be certain, drives a spear into his side. Blood and water flow out. Nicodemus watches it all. He cannot look away. This is what his silence bought. This is what his fear cost. Not just the death of a good man, but the death of the one who came to bring life. He stays on the hill long after most have left, kneeling in the dust, staring at the cross. And for the first time since that night on the rooftop, he hears the wind. It stirs the edges of his cloak. It moves across the hill, soft and steady. And with it comes a whisper, faint but unmistakable. It is not finished. Not yet. Evening approaches. The sky is still heavy, bruised with the memory of darkness. The Sabbath will begin at sundown, and the law is clear. No body can remain on a cross during the holy day. The bodies must be removed, buried quickly, without ceremony. The Roman soldiers are preparing to take the bodies down and throw them into the common grave, a pit outside the city where criminals are discarded like refuse. Unmarked, unmourned, forgotten. Nicodemus stands at a distance, watching. His knees still ache from kneeling on the rocky ground. His face is streaked with dust and tears. He has not moved from Golgotha since Jesus died. He cannot move. It is as if his body has become stone. The women remain too. Mary, Jesus' mother, sits near the foot of the cross, her face blank with grief. John stands beside her, his hand on her shoulder. Mary Magdalene weeps quietly. They have nowhere to go, nothing to do. They can only watch as the soldiers begin their work. One of the soldiers climbs a ladder and begins to pull the nails from Jesus' hands. The sound is sickening, metal scraping against wood, the dull thud as the body shifts. Mary flinches with each strike, as if the nails are being driven into her own flesh. Nicodemus closes his eyes. He cannot watch this. He cannot bear to see the body treated like waste, thrown into a pit, covered with lime and forgotten. This man who spoke of eternal life, who raised the dead, who forgave from the cross, cannot end in a common grave. But what can he do? He is one man, a coward, a man who stayed silent when he should have spoken. What right does he have to act now? And yet, the wind stirs again, soft, persistent. He opens his eyes and looks at the cross, at the body hanging there, broken and still, and he remembers the words, "The Son of Man must be lifted up, that whoever believes in him may have eternal life." Lifted up, he was lifted up, and now he must be brought down, not as a criminal, as a king. Nicodemus turns and walks away from the hill. His steps are slow at first, uncertain, but then they quicken. He moves through the darkening streets of Jerusalem with a purpose he has not felt in days. He reaches the praetorium just as the guards are preparing to close the gates for the evening. He stops one of them, breathless. "I must see the governor, now." The guard looks at him skeptically. The governor is preparing for the evening meal. He will not be disturbed. Nicodemus pulls back his hood, revealing his face. "I am Nicodemus of the Sanhedrin. Tell him I have urgent business regarding the Nazarene." The guard hesitates, then nods. He disappears inside. Nicodemus waits, his heart pounding. What is he doing? If the council finds out he has come here, if they discover he is trying to honor the body of a man they condemned, he will be finished, expelled, excommunicated. Everything he has spent his life building will collapse. But as he stands there in the fading light, he realizes something. It has already collapsed. He lost it the moment he raised his hand in that vote. He lost it the moment he stayed silent. The guard returns. The governor will see you, briefly. Nicodemus follows him inside. The halls are quieter now, the chaos of the morning replaced by an uneasy stillness. He is led to a side chamber where Pilate sits, a cup of wine in his hand, his face weary. Pilate looks up, surprised. Nicodemus, I did not expect to see you here. Have you come to gloat or to complain that I did not kill him quickly enough? Nicodemus swallows the anger that rises in his chest. I have come to ask for the body. Pilate blinks. The body of Jesus. I wish to bury him properly, before the Sabbath. Pilate studies him for a long moment, his eyes narrowing. You are a member of the council, are you not? One of the men who brought him to me this morning. I am. And yet now you want to honor him? Nicodemus meets his gaze. Yes. Pilate leans back in his chair, turning the cup in his hands. Why? The question is simple, but the answer is not. Why? Because he was wrong. Because he is guilty. Because he cannot live with the weight of what he has done. Or because, despite everything, he still believes. Nicodemus speaks quietly, carefully, because he deserves better than a criminal's grave. Whatever else he was a teacher, a prophet, a man who lived without violence, without hatred. He should be buried with dignity. Pilate watches him for a long moment. Then he calls for the centurion. Is the Nazarene dead? The centurion enters and bows. Yes, Governor, I confirmed it myself. A spear to the side. He is dead. Pilate nods. He looks back at Nicodemus. Take him. Do what you will. I wash my hands of this entire affair. He waves his hand dismissively. Go, before I change my mind. Nicodemus bows and turns to leave, but Pilate's voice stops him. One more thing. He turns back. Pilate's expression is unreadable. You are a braver man than I thought, Nicodemus, or a more foolish one. I have not yet decided which. Nicodemus does not respond. He simply walks out. The streets are nearly empty now. The Sabbath is minutes away. He moves quickly, heading toward the house of Joseph of Arimathea, another member of the council, another secret follower. If anyone will help him, it is Joseph. He reaches the house and pounds on the door. A servant answers, startled. My lord, the Sabbath is about to... I need to see Joseph, now. The servant disappears. A moment later, Joseph appears, his face lined with grief. He looks as if he has aged 10 years in a single day. Nicodemus, he says quietly, I heard what happened. I should have been there. I should have spoken. We both should have, Nicodemus says, but we have a chance now. I have Pilate's permission to take the body, but I cannot do it alone. Joseph stares at him. You want to bury him? Yes, in your tomb, the new one, near Golgotha. It is close. We can do it before the Sabbath begins. Joseph hesitates. The tomb is his family's tomb, prepared for himself, expensive, carved from solid rock. To give it to a condemned criminal is scandalous. To give it to Jesus, whom the council has declared a blasphemer, is unthinkable. But then Joseph's face hardens with resolve. Yes, let us do it. They move quickly. Joseph sends servants to gather linen cloths and spices, myrrh and aloes, the kind used for kings. Nicodemus thinks of the conversation on the rooftop, the promise of being lifted up, and he knows this is not just a burial. It is an act of faith, an act of defiance, an act of love. They reach Golgotha just as the soldiers are about to carry the bodies away. Joseph shows them Pilate's order. The soldiers shrug and step aside, indifferent. Nicodemus and Joseph approach the cross. The women are still there, watching, confused, hopeful. Mary looks up at Nicodemus. "Who are you?" "A friend," he says quietly. "We have come to bury him." Tears fill her eyes. "Thank you," she whispers. "Thank you." Together, Nicodemus and Joseph carefully lower the body from the cross. It is heavier than Nicodemus expected. The weight of death, the weight of flesh without spirit, but also, somehow, the weight of everything this man carried, the hope of the broken, the sins of the world, the promise of redemption. They lay him gently on the ground. Nicodemus's hands are shaking. This is the first time he has touched Jesus, the first time he has been this close. And the man is dead. He kneels beside the body, and for a moment he cannot move. He stares at the face, swollen, bloodied, but somehow still peaceful, as if even in death there is no fear. Joseph begins to wash the body with water and wine, cleaning away the blood, the dirt, the mockery. Nicodemus helps, his hands moving automatically, his mind numb. They wrap the body in linen cloths, layering them with the spices, 75 pounds of myrrh and aloes. A king's burial, an extravagant, scandalous, beautiful burial. As they work, Nicodemus feels something break inside him, not with violence but gently, like ice melting, like stone cracking to let water through. He's no longer hiding. He's no longer silent. He is here in the open, honoring the man he failed to defend. They carry the body to Joseph's tomb, a garden nearby, quiet and green, untouched by the violence of the hill. The entrance is low, carved into the rock. They lay Jesus inside, on the stone shelf, his body wrapped and anointed. Nicodemus stands at the entrance, staring at the linen-wrapped form. This is it. This is the end. The man who spoke of eternal life is dead. The man who promised the kingdom is gone. The wind has stopped blowing. Joseph places a hand on his shoulder. "We must go. The Sabbath is here." Nicodemus nods, but he cannot move. Joseph calls for the servants. Together, they roll a large stone across the entrance. It grinds against the rock, heavy and final. The tomb is sealed. The women linger, watching. Mary Magdalene whispers, "We will return. After the Sabbath, we will finish the burial." Nicodemus and Joseph walk away slowly. The sun has set. The first stars are appearing. The city is silent, waiting for the holy day. But Nicodemus does not feel holy. He feels empty, hollowed out. He returns to his home and sits in the darkness. His wife does not ask where he has been. She already knows. The whole city will know by morning. He has just placed himself on the wrong side of history, on the side of a dead prophet, a failed Messiah, a man who could not even save himself. He has given up everything, his reputation, his position, his future, for a corpse in a tomb. And yet, as he sits in the silence, he feels the faintest stirring. Not of hope, exactly. Not yet, but of something. The wind, barely a whisper, but there. He closes his eyes and remembers the words. The wind blows where it wishes. You hear it, but do not know where it comes from or where it goes. He does not know where it is going. He does not know what comes next. But for the first time in 3 days, he is not paralyzed. He has moved. He has acted. He has stepped out of the shadows. And whatever happens now, he is ready. The Sabbath passes like a funeral. Nicodemus sits in his house, unable to eat, unable to pray, unable to do anything but replay the last 3 days in his mind. Every moment is a knife. The vote, the trial, the cross, the body, cold and heavy in his arms. His wife moves quietly through the rooms, bringing him water he does not drink, food he does not touch. She does not ask questions. She does not offer comfort. There is nothing to say. The city outside is silent, observing the holy day. But Nicodemus knows that beneath the silence, rumors are spreading, whispers in the streets, questions in the courtyards. Did you hear? Nicodemus and Joseph took the body. They buried him like a king. What does it mean? Are they followers? Are they traitors? By tomorrow the council will know. By tomorrow there will be consequences. But Nicodemus cannot think about tomorrow. He can only think about the tomb, the stone rolled across the entrance, the darkness inside, the body wrapped in linen, surrounded by spices, lying still and silent in the cold. He thinks of Jesus' words, "Unless you are born again, you cannot see the kingdom of God." Born again. He had not understood it then. He does not understand it now. How can a man be born again when he is old? How can death lead to life? The hours crawl by. The sun sets. The Sabbath ends. And still, Nicodemus sits in the darkness, waiting for something he cannot name. In the early hours before dawn, he finally sleeps. But his dreams are restless, filled with images of the cross, the hammer, the blood. He wakes with a start, his heart pounding, his body covered in sweat. The house is still dark. He rises and walks to the rooftop, the same rooftop where he paced 3 years ago, the night before he went to Jesus. The city is quiet. The stars are fading. Dawn is coming. He stands there, staring at the eastern sky, and prays. Not the formal prayers, just the raw, broken words of a man who has nothing left. I do not know what to do. I do not know what you want from me. I tried to follow, but I failed. I tried to speak, but I was silent. I tried to save him, but he is dead. What do I do now? Where do I go from here? The wind stirs, gentle, persistent, the same wind he felt on that rooftop 3 years ago. And then, in the distance, he hears it, a sound, faint at first, then growing, not a cry of mourning, not a shout of anger, a scream, high-pitched, urgent, joyful. He turns toward the sound. It is coming from the direction of the garden, the direction of the tomb. His heart stops. He moves quickly, descending the stairs, pulling his cloak around his shoulders and stepping out into the street. The city is beginning to wake. A few early risers are already moving through the streets, preparing for the day. But Nicodemus does not see them. He only hears that sound, a woman's voice, shouting something he cannot yet understand. He runs. His old legs protest, his lungs burn, but he runs. Through the narrow streets, past the market stalls, out through the gate toward the garden. And then he sees her. Mary Magdalene, running toward the city, her face wild, her hair loose, her voice breaking with something that is not grief. The tomb is empty. The stone is rolled away. He is not there. Nicodemus stops in his tracks.